You don't notice when the heat slowly drops in a room, you just keep adjusting. A blanket, a hoodie, socks. Until one day you realize it's actually freezing in here. Relationships work the same way. Most of them don't end in one big moment. They end in tiny adjustments to a colder and colder temperature. Less warmth, less effort, less honesty. And instead of turning the heat back up, you get used to being cold. So maybe it's time to stop asking, "Did something happen?" and start asking, "What have we quietly allowed to become normal?" Because I'm not going to talk about dramatic betrayals today. Let's talk about the quiet, daily habits that feel harmless, but are slowly killing the intimacy in your relationship. The stuff you both call normal right before you say, "I don't know what happened to us." And that's exactly what makes these small, often unconscious habits so toxic. You're sitting next to each other, not fighting, not upset, just quiet. You open your phone, they open theirs. You tell yourself it's harmless, and it is, once. But it's not once. It's every evening, during dinner, in bed, on the sofa. Your nervous system stops syncing, your eyes stop meeting. Micro reactions disappear. Shared laughter shrinks. Presence gets replaced with stimulation. Your partner becomes background. The feed becomes foreground. Scrolling isn't the problem. Choosing your phone over connection, repeatedly, is. You're physically close and emotionally unavailable. And that's how warmth drops, without a single fight. And if you're honest, you've already felt that. Those evenings where you sit next to each other, but feel strangely alone. Where you scroll not because you're interested, but because you don't know how to reach for them anymore, without making it awkward. Then there's the classic, "How was your day?" "Good." "And yours?" "Okay." Conversation over. You think you talked, you didn't. You exchanged status updates. Intimacy isn't built on logistics, it's built on access. If your partner doesn't know what frustrated you today, what made you laugh, what you're secretly worried about, what you're looking forward to, you slowly become roommates. And roommates don't build emotional depth. They share space, not inner worlds. You don't need hour-long deep talks every evening, but you do need more than good. Otherwise, one day you wake up next to someone who knows your calendar, but no longer knows you. "Can we talk later?" "Not tonight." "I'm tired." Sometimes that's real, but when later becomes a pattern, you're not postponing conflict, you're accumulating it. Unresolved tension doesn't disappear, it compounds, like interest. Except what grows isn't money, it's resentment. You tell yourself you're avoiding drama. In reality, you're avoiding repair. At some point, one of you stops asking, "Can we talk?" Not because everything is fine, but because the answer will be no anyway. And then come the habits you let slide. The eye roll, the sarcastic "sure," the exaggerated sigh. You call it personality. To them, it feels like rejection. Respect doesn't disappear in explosions. It crumbles in micro moments. The joke about how she always overreacts. The "relax, it was just a joke" when she says it hurt. The way you mimic her tone in front of friends. When respect weakens, attraction follows. You cannot feel deeply connected to someone who makes you feel small, even if it's subtle, even if it's just humor. Repetition turns jokes into patterns. Patterns become identity, and identity shapes the relationship. Then comes invalidation. She says something hurt her. You respond with logic. "That's not what I meant. You're overreacting. It wasn't that bad." You stay calm, rational, objective. But she stops feeling safe. Invalidation doesn't blow up a relationship. It trains someone to stop bringing things up. So she edits herself, shares less, swallows more, processes pain alone, and eventually you ask, "Why didn't you tell me?" She did. You convinced her it wasn't worth telling. And if you're the person who always swallows everything, ask yourself why you learned that. Was it really always just their reaction? Or did you walk in with the habit of shrinking your needs so no one would call you too much? These patterns rarely begin in one single relationship. They repeat what you once needed in order to survive. Your friends know everything. Your partner knows the edited version. You vent outside. You process outside. You laugh the deepest outside. At home, you share headlines. Elsewhere, the full story. Slowly, your partner becomes the last person to know your real thoughts. Intimacy is built on shared emotional depth. If someone else becomes your main safe space, distance at home becomes only a matter of time. You cannot build closeness while distributing your vulnerability everywhere, except with the person you live with. And then there's the quietest habit. It's fine. It's not that important. I don't want to start something. You minimize what hurts. You call it maturity. You call it peace. But over time, you feel unseen, unheard, unchosen. You protect the relationship at your own expense. Every time you swallow what matters to you, your body learns, my needs are a problem. My feelings aren't safe here. So you shrink, daily, for years, until you barely recognize yourself. That's not compromise. That's self-erasure. Resentment doesn't begin with shouting. It begins with quiet self-denial. By the time it gets loud, you've already been gone internally for a long time. At some point, you stop fighting the distance. You stop asking real questions. How was work? Same as always. You know her routine, her coffee order, her habits. But you don't know what she's currently afraid of, what she dreams about, where she feels stuck. People evolve, even the ones you sleep next to. When curiosity dies, discovery dies. When discovery dies, attraction dies. Long-term attraction is not automatic. It's maintained through attention. Without curiosity, you're not in a relationship with a person. You're in a relationship with your old idea of them. Then love turns into bookkeeping. I did this. You didn't do that. I always. You never. Every action becomes a receipt. Every favor becomes a debt. The moment you start measuring effort instead of offering it, generosity disappears. Relationships don't live on perfect fairness. They live on goodwill. And goodwill evaporates when every gesture has to be counted. You stop trying, not because you don't care, but because you assume the other person is staying. So you lower your presence, become efficient with affection. Stop initiating, stop flirting, stop actively choosing each other. Comfort turns into complacency. Complacency turns warmth into routine, routine into distance, distance into indifference. None of these patterns look toxic while you're in them. They look normal, modern, busy, adult. That's exactly what makes them dangerous. You don't wake up after one big explosion. You wake up after 2 years of small moments and ask, when did we drift? And here's the part that hurts. You're not just a victim of these habits. You participate in them. Every time you choose silence over truth, scrolling over presence, bookkeeping over generosity, you also choose the version of this relationship you will eventually live in. You're not simply at the mercy of growing distance. You co-create it. The person reading this already knows which habit hits closest to home. That one moment you keep replaying, that conversation you wish you'd had differently. It's not too late to change it, but it will be if you keep calling normal what is actually eroding everything. You don't repair this with one dramatic conversation or one romantic weekend somewhere. You repair it by reversing the daily patterns, putting the phone down first, answering more honestly than good, listening without immediately defending, bringing things up instead of storing them, staying curious, choosing presence deliberately, because distance is built daily, and so is closeness. If the space between you feels colder than it used to, you already know that. The question is not whether the temperature dropped, it's how long you're going to pretend you don't notice it.